I I don't need faith because I have sight. Sight's better, right? I mean, even the Bible admits this. Christians long for the day when their faith will become sight. But how, you might ask, do I have sight right now? My first memory of thinking about a God happened when I was 5 years old. My older sister and two of our cousins and I were playing in the boys' toilet down in the schoolyard. My family and I lived behind the school building, and it was summer. We were in the boys' toilet because it was fairly new and the girls' was old and smelled bad. We found planks and situated them on the corners in the toilet, on the posts that went, you know. My cousins were on the door side of the toilet, and my sister and I were on the back side where the holes were. I had a new plank, and my sister had an old one. And she was 8 years old and bigger than I was, which she pointed out. She said the old plank might break with her, so I should give her the new one. And I complied. I don't know how it happened. Honestly, I don't even remember that it happened. I assume the old plank broke. Anyway, somehow I found myself down in the hole, standing and pooping pee up to my knees. My sister and my cousins ran from the toilet screaming for my mom, who I was told jumped our garden fence into the schoolyard, even though she was only 5 feet tall. And meanwhile, I was standing in the dark. I guess I just landed in the poop and sank down gracefully on my feet to the bottom. I really had no idea where I was, but I knew I didn't want to be there. Suddenly, a bright light shone above me, and into the darkness a huge hand plunged. I seriously thought that it was the hand of God. So I grabbed it, and my mom pulled me out. My sides were scraped up, and I was nasty and stinky, which I assume is what earned me the nickname Stinker from my uncle. And my mom told my two oldest sisters, who had showed up on the scene, to take me to the creek and wash me off. I don't remember being washed. I just remember being between my two sisters, with each of them holding one of my hands as we headed toward the creek. That's the story. The point I want to make from it is that I believed something that wasn't true. I had faith that the hand rescuing me was God, but it wasn't. And I realized that truth when my mom pulled me out of the hole. I no longer had faith, which had been misguided, because I knew the truth. And here's another story. During the summer when I was 13, my friend decided to spend her vacation in Indiana with her older sister. I didn't want her to go the whole summer without my friend. So I prayed the night before she was to leave that she would change her mind and stay home. I completely believed, had absolute faith that Yahweh would answer my earnest prayer. I thought I'd get up in the morning and she would come to visit me. I mean, I went to church. I heard the propaganda. Jesus had said that his dad would do anything we asked. I fully expected my prayer to be answered, to be granted. When the prayer went unanswered, I realized that once again, my faith was misguided because I saw how prayer works. Well, I saw that it doesn't work. Yet I kept praying. I still believed in the God who hadn't said yes to me. And I thought that when he said no, he had a good reason. And I finally had sight that Jesus was wrong. But that was as far as it went at the time. And sight helped me not to be shocked and disappointed when my future prayers went unanswered. Now, I know that a God is not a genie. It's too bad we don't have genies, huh? One would think that even if a God couldn't bend his will to take away my friend's good summer with her sister in order to make me happy, I mean, I get that. You'd think that he doesn't always answer our wants, but you'd think that he ought to at least give us our needs. And especially since Jesus was adamant that he would even give us our wants. But I saw that prayer is a crapshoot. I might get my desires and needs provided, and I might not. I had a friend once who praised Yahweh for every little good thing that happened. One day, and I was a Christian at this time, I said to him, "You don't know that God did that. You're making it up, so you're basically lying." He said that he liked to give Yahweh credit just in case he had done it. Well, you know what? If this God is real, I'm thinking he ought to be smart enough and decent enough not to want credit for every little piddly thing. I mean, think about it. It said, I really thank a God for making sure I pass a test or don't forget to let my water run at night when it's cold. If my friend just found out she has terminal cancer, or my neighbor's house burnt down the same day. I mean, how would that make a God look? Not good, I'll tell you that. You see, if a God decides to help me pass a test, then that means that God made a choice. And if a God makes that sort of choice, then it also makes a choice to give a child cancer or allow a house to burn. If a God does the good, then it also does the bad or refrains from stopping the bad. Are we going to accuse God of that just so we can act special? As if the God is right on top of our pathetic little problems while ignoring people in actual need? Why would a God like that deserve to be liked, let alone worshipped? Let me ask you something. How do you view this scenario? A child wants a popsicle. You have a popsicle, so you give it to the child to make him happy. But at the same time, another child begged you to give him meat, potatoes, and bread because he's starving. You can do this. You have the power. It won't take anything from you. But you refuse. Oh, and then the boy with the popsicle praises you to the high heavens for how good and generous you are. You're good all the time. And you just lap up praise and feel super good about yourself. You feel glorified. What kind of person are you? A despicable one, right? Well, God is no different. If God helps only you when he could also just as easily help another person who actually needs more help than you do, then the only answer is that he just doesn't want to help the other person. He wants that deadly car wreck. He wants that child to starve to death. Christians say things like, the tornado just changed courses right before it reached us and went in a different direction. Yeah, it went towards somebody else's home. So how's that a good thing? Because you're more important than the other person? Or they might say, my friend's husband cheated and broke her heart. Thank God it wasn't me. And by the way, even if it were true that a God saved a house of some Christian in Los Angeles while others burn around it, or saved some statues of Mary and Joseph or a cross, all while allowing house after house to burn, leaving people homeless and hurting, if a God really and truly did that, that God would not be worthy of worship, but worthy of derision. Oh, and don't forget the meme that says something like, somebody your age died today. Thank God you're still alive. Sure, sure. Thank you, Yahweh, that I'm not the one who died. You cared enough about me to keep me alive when you chose to snuff out that person's life. Thank you so much. That's how y'all sound. And it's ugly. I finally, in time, grew to understand that some days we're the windshield and some days we're the bug. Sometimes we get the bear, sometimes the bear gets us. It's about time and chance, as the Bible actually admits when it's not denying it. And hard work, too. Many Christians today have not learned that lesson, and even their "there but for the grace of God go I" is pure arrogance, although they think it's humility. It's saying, well, it could have been me, but Yahweh just likes me too much to allow that to happen to me. He gives me grace. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Christians really know that prayer is just like wishing on a star or birthday candles. I think that deep down, they know they can't depend on their God. Why else do they run to a doctor when they're sick? That's not what the Bible tells them to do. It says call for the elders of the church and have the elders pray and anoint them with the. That's a command. The prayer of faith sent up by the elders will heal you, Christians. Do you believe your God's words or not? Do you obey him or not? Of course you don't. You know that won't work. You see, sometimes you seem to have sight too. I mean, until you're healed, at least. Then suddenly you forget about the doctor and it's all Yahweh who healed you. I finally came to see that not only does the God of Israel not answer prayers, but he isn't even real. I found evidence that helped me piece together this truth so that I could see it. I came to realize that if a wise and good God wanted us to know it, he'd know how to make it happen. It wouldn't rely on a book that couldn't be read by most people for hundreds of years and couldn't be translated for many years and couldn't possibly be translated correctly into various languages. I saw that the book has been edited over and over with passages and even whole books added or subtracted. So even if a God had actually given it to us, it would mean that the God didn't watch over it to keep it safe for us. I saw contradictions and inconsistencies in the book that make it unworthy of acceptance. I saw that the God of the Bible is not only absent and unable to answer our prayers, but he's evil. I recognize that the Bible isn't scientifically or historically accurate. I understood that prophecies that were supposed to be fulfilled weren't fulfilled at all. I saw that the stories in the Bible are mostly myths, fables, and allegories. And I saw that those who proclaim to follow the Bible, claiming that it makes them more moral and better people, they're not any better than the rest of society. In fact, in some ways, they're worse. They approve of slavery and child murder. It would take books, a few of which I myself have written, to explain all that sight has provided to me and to others who have seen the light regarding the book Christians adore and claim to be from their God. Just as I saw the light, both literally and figuratively, that it wasn't the hand of a God who saved me when I was 5 years old, but was instead the hand of my loving mother. I now see that I was blinded by faith so that I couldn't see the truth regarding the God of the Bible. Sight is a beautiful thing. It's a peaceful thing. Sight doesn't leave us frustrated, searching, and worrying that we're missing the mark. Sight is much better than faith. And I'm thrilled that I have discarded useless faith so that I can see the truth. Thank you all. Bye.